Hey users and subscribers, welcome back to A Touch of Class with HTK. Alright, so we have a few things to catch up on
If
today.
you know how we talk up the things them, nobody stay but cause we not back from them. We full of speech but we don't come for fool them. Lift up the knowledge cause we they are so for school.
Welcome, graduates. Thank you so much for coming to this premiere. We're going to just have a quick chat. Well, as quick as it will allow me to be. So I'm sure by now you've seen that CMR came out guns blazing in defense of his wife, Crissy, basically saying that the internet is dragging her left, right, and center, and he's not going to stand for that. He, in particularly, responded to Kim Nadi, saying that she is no friend of his wife. There were mere acquaintances. They never had any further communication other than the text, which he also revealed. So we're going to go into a few things so that we can have a full idea of where CMR's head is at when it came to this live. Um, Boy, people, there were a number of things there that did have a cause for concern, and I don't think they can be unsaid. But as I said, we're going to go through some of the things he said, and we are going to have a little discussion about it. At least I'm going to give my opinion on it. And you can feel free to drop your comments. I will be watching the comments while this video is being premiered, so I will see what my graduates have to say in real time. All right. Okay. So, first of all, it's good to see a human response for once that doesn't seem calculated, that seems to be fueled by emotion, that shows that what's being said out here is having an impact. Because so far, every step has been calculated, dressed up, stitched up, presented in a pretty package, or avoided. So to see an actual humane response is actually refreshing for once. And that's one that addresses something that's clearly close to CMR's heart, and that is the way his wife is being dragged as a result of his allegations, as a result of his name. I suppose the guilt was too much, and he didn't feel that it was fair. And indeed, it probably isn't fair that Crissy continues to be called all kinds of names, regarded as an irresponsible mother, just because of you, CMR, once again. So I can understand that that guilt must have been really overbearing, and you felt the need to rescue your wife, right? From the internet. You made some points that the majority of the people that were out there, because I'm not going to address the thing between you, Kim, and her. That's between the three of you. If you're saying that Kim was never a friend and this is all about clout and this is all about her trying to build her platform, really and truly, that's for Kim to come out here and defend. That's not for me to defend. We don't know Kim. What we know is the perspective that she put out here, and it resonated with the whole thing that we've been saying, that your behavior and the response of you and Crissy has not been advocative of the child. So, as much as you may think that that was your intention, it does not come across like that to any of us on the outside looking on. But anyway, as I said, I'll leave that because I'm pretty certain that Kim's going to answer you. But in the meantime, I want to address the other points that were raised around the bloggers, right? Um, I noticed that for one thing, you insist on talking about suing bloggers, which is fine, but on the basis of defamation, regardless of whether or not it's their opinion. You do know there's something called countersuing, and some of us are fully prepared for that. But anyway, let us not let us not stray from the point. The point is, you mentioned that had this been about getting to the truth, people would have reached out to you. So, CMR, I've reached out to you and I've invited you for an interview. I did it by email, but the email bounced back. And now I've done it by Messenger, by Instagram. Let's see if you are brave enough to step into this classroom because you know I am not going to dress it up the way the fix dressed it up. The questions I'm going to ask you, you're not going to be able to skirt around and avoid. And I doubt very much you are going to enter into a platform where you are going to be asked hard questions and expected to give hard truths, and where you are not going to be able to be evasive because that fixed interview was full of evasion. And if bloggers are to look at that as an example and are not prepared to give you that style of interview, that in itself is going to be a turnoff. But hey, I've been the brave one and I've reached out. Let's see if you have got the fortitude to respond and would dare to step into this classroom and would dare to answer the questions I'm going to ask you. Because the ultimate thing that is going to convince of your innocence is if you sway an audience that is set in their mind against you based on what you have put out here and what you have demonstrated and continue to demonstrate, by the way. So, without further ado, I'm going to take the time to go through your transcript. You know, that's how we do it over here. Just so that I'm not putting words into your mouth. And it's clear that anything that you're saying, you said, and it's coming from what's been transcribed, right? Um, so let us start with this. Hang on a minute, people. In the meantime, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. Make sure that you like up this video and that you share the video and increase its reach. That's all I ask. Thank you so much, my graduates. Right. So we're going to find the section where he is talking about the bloggers in particular. And let's discuss that. Okay, people, so let's take a look at this part of the conversation. So he had just referred to the text and saying that, you know, there was no aggression in that text. You know, that's what he said in reference to Kim. And then he moved on to say, and legal proceedings are going to take place. I don't care. I should never say that. We're going to do legal action. Um, so, you know, he's letting people know that legal action is coming. There's nothing wrong with speaking on what's in the public. Um, but when it's not so and you're still saying it is so, then you're just basically asking for it. That's basically what he's saying here. You know that YouTube does not translate directly, especially if you're speaking in any kind of dialect, but that's the general gist of what was said in that section of the video. Um, he's claiming he's a content creator. He's a very easy person to deal with. He's a nice person to deal with, to reach out to him. You know, before they reach out to the wife. And saying basically that he's easier to deal with than his wife because his wife is not a mixer. And that's the reason why he's saying that Chrissy's not liked out here in these internet streets, right? Because he is easier to deal with, but he deals with loyalty and support, right? And that he would rather people had sent him a personal message explaining how they feel, and you know that if they think that something was wrong, that they should have expressed it in that manner. Once again, I have to reiterate, CMR, that we are not friends out here. So people are not going to message you who don't know you on a personal basis. So that's never going to happen. And if people have a platform, they are going to take to their platform and they're going to express their opinion. Um, You're saying that you and your wife never come out there and share any negative things about people, but yet in this very same speech, you were alluding to one of the females on the other platforms about this whole thing about her wanting to have some men from Dubai, SHIT, in our face. Now, isn't that you taking to your platform and sharing negative things about people in defense of yourself? Now, how is that any better at all? Remember, you're saying you never come on this platform and share negative things about people. So, what did you just do when you spoke about that individual? And at first, I thought you were referring to Kim, but now I've come to understand that you may very well be referring to Momo. I'm not certain, but that is what has been alleged in the comments under my videos, right? Um, you don't have a problem with people branding you as a cheater. You don't care, um, but do not speak lies, right? Um, Now, who out here has spoken lies? Who out here has spoken lies? We're telling you that you have lied, and we have got several incidents where you have, in fact, lied to the public, therefore casting reasonable doubt on any argument that you're presenting about your innocence. Several times you have lied on your platform and other platforms, i.e., The Fix, in your defense. So, who has lied on you? We believe the child's statement. That's not us telling lies on you. That's us choosing to stand on the side of that child and that statement that was made, which is a public record. We stand on the side of the child and we believe the child. Therefore, we do not believe you, and we are free to say we do not believe you. We don't care if that offends, because you have not given us any reason to cry for your innocence. Hmm? And I'm already showing you that even in this speech, you were telling lies, because you did come out and say something slanderous against somebody else on your very platform that you said you don't do such things on. You continue to try to hold guilt as a weapon over the heads of other platform holders, right? You claim that you have never hidden your flaws when you came on YouTube or pretended to be great, that you've told people that you've done shoplifting, you got arrested for driving without driver's license. That you got all those things and that God helped you to survive, put you on the platform so that you could help people to not make the same mistakes. I'm supposing that's what you're implying. And that you came here to help people all the time, even when they turn against you. That what you're going through, God bless the handful of people who will speak positive about your family, but you've helped a lot of platforms, and those platforms never did a character reference. You're not saying that anybody should come out and say, oh, CMR did not do it, but they've never said that I've encountered with him and he's a good father, is basically what you're saying. At least that. Hmm? I understand that you would really appreciate that, but you've got to understand that what you have been accused of is a trigger subject for many people. Nobody who has any kind of protective mechanism towards vulnerable children is going to come out here and say, well, he's a good dad. I can't imagine that. We've been taught by systems, by experience, that when a child makes a disclosure, you must believe that child until it is proven otherwise. You've got to understand that you have been released on a technicality, and that is not enough evidence. This is not the equivalent of an acquittal at all. You haven't been tried, you haven't been proven innocent, and your behavior and the things that you say, of which you have persistently deleted, although some of us bloggers continue to have copies, show you to be quite a, what's the word? I would say that you do not show any respect towards women. And the things that you said has echoed that ideal that you do not respect females. You speak about women like they're pieces of meat. And what was that last comment that you made about, oh, you like your beard with the gray hairs, you look like Santa Claus, and the young girl them like Santa Claus? Come on, you said that. So when you are making those kind of references, how are people supposed to look at you differently to say you are not the type of person that would do something like this? When you have targeted barely legal girls, one of whom it is alleged that you stated you thought that they were 15. But because you know that you have appropriately silenced those girls, then you feel that you can come for us for defamation because they're not willing to come forward and actually prove their case. Hmm? We're going on the codes that were put out here, the evidence that was put out here by girls that you had affairs with. That was confirmed to be accurate by your own wife and by yourself and by your apology letter. Do you remember that apology letter? Which shows that you did in fact behave as a cheater and that those particular girls who came forward were not lying. You've never once come out and said that they were when it came to the things that they said. You made it clear that it's your intention, it's your intention, but not your style to report pages, um, and that when you don't do that, when you hadn't reported the pages, it hurts because while you can take the pressure, some of the times it's rough, but you are a man and you have to stand tall and have to show the kids that when times are bad and down, you have to stand tall and that you still have God to stay strong. I quite like this, where you said that if you're silent, we make videos. If you speak out, we still make videos. So you know that's going to happen. That's a part and parcel of the job of blogging. So you know it's going to happen. That can't be stopped. And just like you're not going to stop your food despite the fact that you've been accused of, what you've been accused of, molestation. Um, why should we stop when we're actually making a noise against that? So that's not going to stop, right? Um, so you're claiming that you're not going to allow any more lies. And if you see anybody comes out and speaks lies, you are going to come in and at least tell your audience that it's a lie so that the supporters can have that peace in their hearts. Okay? Please do that. That's what we want to see. So when a platform comes out here and says you definitely did do that to the 13-year-olds, I hope you come out and in direct words, not vague words, not wishy-washy words, not dismissive words. Come out here and with your full chest say, I did not do that. And make it very clear where that whole story on that statement came to being. How did it come into existence? Why was it necessary for that child to make that move? Was there a breakdown in your relationship? Did you do something to offend her and she decided to be calculating? Give us something, CMR. Because while it is that we're aware that people can tell lie, the way you have claimed that the daughter is the best daughter since sliced bread, the way you have claimed that she is such a good girl, contradicts the possibility of her being a liar or a manipulative teen. So you have given a scenario to the public that makes it very difficult to accept that that little girl has lied on you. So who is lying? Where is the lie coming from? Here you go again, talking about the fact that anybody who speaks about you, it's bad mind and jealousy. And the people who talk about you have never shared a video for you. That's a lie. Why do you keep repeating this nonsense? What is wrong with you? A lot of people who are now saying that you guys are not doing the right thing have shared your videos, have supported you in the past, have viewed your videos, liked your videos. You keep creating this fallacy and putting it out there as though it's a reality. These are the kind of things that make you come across as untrustworthy because you keep spinning this tale as though it's a bad mind thing. That's such a small minded, narrow minded thing to say. Very narrow minded thing to say. Everybody knows that is not anybody with common sense knows that that in itself is a statement that you can't even assess. You can't assess it, or at least it will take some grievous, painstaking time to actually prove that what you have to say is correct. But either way you take it, the very fact that one lady, Kim, who blatantly your wife knows is a supporter, has come out and said these things shows that it's nothing to do with that, that there are many where it's not about not sharing a video for you or not supporting you. It at least you had the decency to refer to the fact that some of the people are going through trauma for real as a result of situations like this. And you can understand that part, right? And you know that some people do genuinely feel pain about the situation. But in your opinion, the majority are just trying to grow their page or grow their platform at your expense and at your daughter's expense. With all due respect, CMR, according to the public arrest record, the person who has damaged the stepdaughter is named as yourself. It's not named as social media. And I can assure you, any of all of this is nowhere near if it was the truth. So I'm saying to you, is it that you know for a fact that this did not happen and it is not true? Is it that you know for a fact that that statement was a completely made up thing? Why can't you say it if it is? We are not about to come out here and drag that little girl because she's a child. The only question that would remain is what went wrong? Why would this girl who you claim is so good, such a perfect daughter, why would she then make up such a story about you? And that explanation would be a life lesson in itself. But why hide that life lesson? You claimed that you were one of the realest families out here on social media. Don't you think that's a very real story that ought to be shared and discussed? After all, if based on what you're saying here, you know that you are above the reproach that you're being given by social media, then you need to explain how it is that we're supposed to know you're above reproach. How is it that we're supposed to know that you are innocent? Because none of the paperwork claims innocence. All it tells us is that the case was dismissed. And it's not at your daughter's expense because if the allegations are true, the expensive thing has already happened and could have been worse. If you're saying no, this constant reminder of the fact that this story was put out there and it's not true, come out here and defend your daughter the proper way. the proper way. Let people know that in fact these kind of things can happen. And how are you going to cope with it and correct it? And how are you going to guide your child if it is that the story isn't true? But you're not doing any of those things. All of those things are valuable life lessons. You're not doing any of those things. You are leaving the internet to draw conclusions so that you can go after people for a lawsuit because you have left potholes in your story that have serious consequences. So you went on to talk about the fact that really and truly you're not hard to deal with and you would rather collaborating with platforms and that, you'd rather, if somebody reached out to you, right? And if you wanted to run with that, then you would get involved, right? And to give you the courtesy, right? Private message is what you're encouraging people to do. And then you will respond. Like I said, I have sent you one. Let's see if you do respond, right? And that you insisting that you are not hard to deal with. You would answer questions. You don't hate to answer questions. That you didn't have to sit down and do an interview, but you did it against your peers' best advice, right? And that you know that your wife was not about to speak up and that she wouldn't have done it, but you are not afraid of being asked questions. But I'm saying to you, are you willing to be asked questions in a classroom like mine where you will not be able to be evasive with your answers? That I will ask you questions the public really wants to hear. And I don't think that you would because there are platforms and there are platforms, right? And I think that if you are faced with pertinent questions that will reveal the truth, you are just going to skirt around it. That's what you showed us on the fix. So us asking you for an interview, unless you are willing to do it truthfully and honestly and openly, will not be convincing. If anything, it's more damaging than anything else. Just like this live is actually damaging, because some of the things that you said in here were not good at all. I'm just letting you know. So you went on to say that it's okay for you to defend people if you're speaking on something that's not it, or whether your opinion or not, you can be sued. Where you said that some of them are going to get the case, or some of us are going to get the case. But then you said, this is the damaging thing, that some of them are going to feel it physically. What did you mean by that? Were you issuing a threat to harm bloggers? Because that's what I'm reading here, that some people are going to feel it physically in order to make an example out of them, that are going to use one to make an example out of. Um, why would you come online and make a threat to physically harm somebody? Because when you say somebody is going to feel it physically, that can mean nothing but it's a negative feeling. And if it's a physical negative feeling, it implies that you plan to do harm. You see, when I hear things like this, I hear a threatening characteristic. A threatening characteristic. Oh, you know? A threatening characteristic is one that is trying to intimidate, CMR. Why are you trying to intimidate people by implying that they're going to be feeling it physically? That's not a responsible thing to do. And we take that threat very seriously. In fact, it's a threat that ought to be reported to the police because you are out here claiming that you wish to make an example out of bloggers so that they can feel it physically. That's not responsible conversation coming from yourself as somebody who is supposed to be trying to repair their reputation out here in these social media streets, right? You're saying that there's nothing wrong with sharing an opinion, whether it's right or wrong, but at least it's your opinion, and that you haven't got a problem with people talking constructively, criticizing constructively. But, you're wanting people who neither pick up for you or go against you. Not all conversations have to be neutral. People are free to come down on one side. And this is the part of you that you fail to understand, that it's not always going to be a bed of roses, especially when it comes to the allegations that you have been faced with. So, yes, you carried on saying more or less the same thing over and over again. You're wanting constructive criticism, etc., etc. But how can we constructively criticize when we don't know the full story? All we have as hardcore evidence out here is the public arrest record, which was dismissed. That's all we have. You have not to date explained what took place, nor have you come out to date to say that you are innocent. You may have said that you have been found to be vindicated, which I don't believe that was the language used by the court, according to how you placed your statement and where the quotations were. You came out and you blatantly said that you were arrested on probable cause. The reason why you were arrested on probable cause was because there were holes in your statement to the police. And you were charged, but yet you came out and said you were not charged. Make that make sense when the court documents blatantly say that you were charged. Make it make sense. So, with all the things that you have been saying, out of which I understand that you have got to protect your wife because you really and truly don't want to lose her. After all, she is one of the core breadwinners in that household. Um, Your threats have not gone unnoted. Suing is one thing, but making the bloggers feel it physically is, in fact, a threat of physical harm. That's how we take it. So, should we be now arming up with litigation against you for making those allegations? Because that in itself is irresponsible language coming from you. At the end of the day, clear your name properly. You want the public to swing in your defense, clear your name properly. And see to it that you do that responsibly while protecting your child. Justice for Jay. This is your girl, Head Teacher K.